Hi, it's Seth Lewis, founder of Momentum U. Today we have an interesting topic, or a topic that I'm passionate about. Obviously, I have a book that's out and it's titled Momentum: Where Mindset Meets Strategy. So if you take a look at this, I would appreciate if you pick it up. You can pick it up at mymomentumbook.com. But a lot of the questions that people ask me, and in conversations, whether it's with business owners or whoever it may be with, most people don't understand the mindset piece. And the word mindset is something that, what does that really mean? And what is it? And how does it affect strategy? So the premise of my book, and one of the things that we look at and examine, and I'm passionate about, is the mindset piece. Where mindset meets strategy, it creates explosive momentum. And let me give an example. And one of my coaches, her name is Gita, tremendous coach in the sense of mindset and bringing things together from a perspective that you just usually don't look at it. And she's actually in my book and shares a couple things. But when I was interviewing her, one of the stories that she shared with me, I said, well, Gita, how did you come across this mindset, and when did you realize it was powerful, or what was your journey? And what was surprising to me is what she said was, it all started, she was in corporate and in TV and media, and it all started through childbirth, through having her son. She said, when I was in labor and delivery, and my body just took over and did it. And she said it wasn't anything that, it was kind of like autopilot. It just happened. My body knew what to do and it like responded. And I just was there. I was present in the moment, obviously, she said, but like it just took over. It was something that like at a deeper level. So it sounds like, sometimes when you talk about mindset, it sounds like it's something spiritual, or something. It's not so much that. Everybody has different beliefs, so it's not actually that. It's more about programming how you think and everything that's going on there. So she continued to tell me that, in that time, she realized that there's so much more power in ourselves than we give ourselves credit for. I want to give you an example. And when you think about this, when you think about driving to work or driving home or driving to your parents or grandparents or grandchildren, no matter who you are and who you're listening, when you think about that moment, when you think about how you get there, I want you to think about the drive. I want you to think about going to work in the morning. What are you really thinking about? I know if I go to work, I might be thinking about, what I'm going to do when I'm going to get there, who I need to call, who do I need to follow up with, who needs what. I might be thinking about on the way home. I might be thinking about what I'm going to, what are we having for dinner? I might be thinking about am I going to play with my daughter? What are we going to do? Is she going to be up? Is she not? Is she napping? There's so many things that we're thinking about. And meanwhile, we're driving a car, everything's going well, and we're not thinking about turn signal, looking, rear view mirror, everything, but we're not really there. 80% of what we do is actually happens in our subconscious. So it's things that we're there, we're experiencing it, we're operating a car. I mean, think about this. It's a pretty scary thought. Operating a vehicle and really not being fully engaged in that moment of what you're doing. I would guarantee over half, if not more, it's definitely more, but I'll say half of drivers fit into this category. Thinking about the next thing, thinking about what you're doing, thinking about a problem, thinking about a success. So I want you to think about this. And the series that we've been doing and we've been talking about has been about strategy. And a couple things that we looked at in week one, we looked at how to have a successful 2021, and we looked at that and we listed some things. We also looked at how to make a plan that works, and we listed some areas there. So in those, how to have a successful 21, it was understanding what you really want. It was identifying what's holding you back. It was making sure that you had a plan that works. Second week, we looked at how to make a plan that works. We talked about specific areas there. And this week is for the people that might be, I don't know if I want to call lazy, but or people that like maybe have a tough time sticking to a plan. And when you look at a plan, you say, hey, we do this plan, we put it together, it's pretty, it's beautiful. It just doesn't seem to actually come to pass because it goes back on the shelf and we default to what we already know. We default to autopilot, and autopilot is running our lives. So how do you overcome this? What do you do to make sure that you're successful? One of the ways is to program and create alignment in your mind and what you want to do with your strategy, so that when you zone out, when you think about something else, when you are in la la land, when you're driving your car, your mindset and your autopilot is still taking you to your destination. I want to pause there because I really want you to think about that. Are you set up so that when you're on autopilot, it takes you to your destination? That's pretty powerful. So that means if you get distracted, if you think about something else, if you do something, when you come back to focus, when somebody honks their horn at you and you come back to focus in your vehicle, you're still on course. You're still heading to your destination. So when we talk about planning, and when we talk about this, the whole idea of planning, my question to you is, do you have it set up so that when you get distracted, your subconscious, your mindset takes you back there? Just like if you're driving the car, like I gave the example, and you're not really paying attention to what you're doing because you're thinking about everything else, you're still getting to your destination. It's a really powerful thing. So when you think about planning in 2021, in this year, I want you to make sure that you're aligning your mindset with your strategy. And when I say that, we've talked about a lot, mindset and strategy. And we said it, and we say when the two meet, you get explosive momentum and blah, 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 blah. But I get questions because they don't really understand, like, what does that mean? And that's what we're covering today. And what we're going over is that driving, we live our life on autopilot, and we have to get that autopilot to take us to our destination without us consciously thinking about it. When you do this, you can pop off, get distracted, and it's actually going to happen. I want to, when I think about my last 5 years, and one of the things I want to also encourage you is when you're making your plan is, please do not look at it in 1 year. 2020 happened, and some people it was awesome and they were killing it with their numbers, and some people it was terrible. So you might be on either extreme or somewhere in the middle. That being said, we put way too much weight on 1 year, and I want to get away from that. I want to ask you, and I want you to think about, what have you accomplished in the last 3 years? What have you accomplished in the last 5? And for me, in 2015, which is about 5 years ago, I realized that I never finished my undergrad. So I wasn't actually in school at the time, but I had courses that I never finished. And at that point in time, I realized that I want to commit to getting this done. So I went back to school. I finished my undergrad at Penn State, and then I went in and got an executive MBA at Villanova. But if I look at 16 when I graduated, 17, I piloted an airplane. 18, I graduated an executive MBA. 19, all these years combined up. I mean, in that time frame, I got married. We had a baby. All these things are happening. And somebody say, well, how do you do all that? I became a published author with the book. They say, well, how do you do that? Do you get off track? You seem like you're very focused. You get a lot of stuff done. And I say, yeah, but I get off track just like other people. But one of the things that I've learned is if I can work on that subconscious, the mindset piece, and make sure that the mindset is aligned with my strategy. And one of my mindset pieces, and one of the things that I've done, and it's complicated to do and almost to explain. It's individualized. It's a deep dive in your own personal thinking, what your barriers are, what you want to do, what your ultimate goals are. So that piece is a little bit tricky to just explain. But one of the key things that ties my mindset together that has been a guiding force for me has been the idea of continually improving. It's something that's in my mindset and has been ingrained to continually get better and to make myself better. And I look at everything that I did in the last 5 years, and it aligns with my mindset. So naturally, my mindset is guiding me and taking me to some of these things when I'm thinking about them. And again, this isn't a spiritual thing. Many people have different beliefs on that side of things, but it's when you're thinking about something, when you're aware of it, awareness is a foundation of momentum. It actually brings you to those things and you see opportunities in a different way. So all those 5 years, and again, I encourage you to make sure that you're paying attention to the 3 or 5 years, not just last year. But when you think about that mindset was the consistent piece to what has continued to fuel my success. And I can look at each one of those, whether I got married. I believe my wife helps me become a better person. It's betterment. So education, the executive MBA, betterment. It was aligned with my mindset. So even if I had tough times and I got off the track, it brought me back. So, I want to, encourage you, when you think about these things and when you think about making a plan, make sure you have to figure out and do a deep dive, as I call it, on your mindset. You have to actually understand what you're doing, how you're thinking, and align that with your strategy. The reason that's important is because when you're aligned with your strategy, when you get off course, just like when you're driving down the road and you get off course and you're not thinking about where you're going, you're thinking about work, you're thinking about home, you're thinking about anything else. When that happens, mindset is the piece that's going to keep you on your destination. It's going to keep you driving the car. It's going to get you to the final destination, even if you get distracted. So I hope that you can see when you add mindset with your strategy, it becomes a dynamic that is explosive. And time after time, I see organizations that their strategies fall apart. It's because when they're not actively pursuing them and they're not actively engaged in that strategy, it falls apart. What would happen if that same strategy was aligned with your mindset? And when you're focused on something else, just like when you're driving the car, it's still advancing that mission. It's tough to think about. It's a deep concept. It's somewhat of a newer concept. It's not new, but it's been around, but people don't think about this way. But when you think about driving, when you think about breathing, when you think about everything that you do in your subconscious, why can your business strategy not be aligned with the subconscious? So if you're interested in this, if you're interested in these topics, I encourage you to pick up a book. This is what it's about. Momentum, where mindset meets strategy. It's a powerful intersection. And at that intersection, explosive momentum takes place. And my goal is with everybody that I interact with and everybody that's listening and follows what I do is for you to have explosive momentum in your business, to have explosive momentum in your organization. Because when you do, it's a lot of fun. Momentum's a myth, something that has been taught to us that we can't control, and we can control it if you understand it. Pick up a copy. The link's below at mymomentumbook.com. If I can be of any of assistance, reach out to me. I'd be happy to set up a strategy call, talk to your business, and help you out in figuring out how these areas connect, intersect, and explode. Thanks for watching. I'm Seth Lewis. I'm the founder of Momentum U. Follow my content, like it, share it with somebody, pick up a couple books for your team. However it's useful for you, I'm here for you. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your day.